All right, let's be real. One of the most fun parts in tennis is hitting the ball hard and smacking a winner. It doesn't happen all the time, but when it does, the satisfaction is immense. However, controlling the pace of your strokes can be difficult for amateurs. You either hit too hard or too soft, and both can lead to a lot of errors and poor quality shots. So in this lesson, I want to help you guys have a better understanding of pace and how I believe you should think about it so you can maximize the performance of your ground strokes.
If you are new to My Tennis HQ, we do tennis lessons, racket reviews, practices with pro players, and tennis content you won't find anywhere else. So make sure you subscribe and hit the bell button.
So before we begin the lesson, a shout out to all the members of Winner Circle. We've been getting a ton of great questions during our live webinars, and they're actually inspiring the last 5 or 6 videos. I got some cool stuff coming up, so make sure you're subscribed. So thanks for that, guys. If you're not a member yet, there's a link down below that you can go and check it out. There's a 2-week free trial. You can also download all of our free guides down there. So make sure you click the links below and go check it out, the Winner Circle. So when it comes to creating pace, every player is different, right? We have different styles of how we hit the ball, and that can contribute to how hard or how slowly we hit. And people just have different access to power in general, right? Like some people can just hit the ball hard kind of effortlessly, and some people it feels like they have to do a lot to hit the ball hard. But I have a simple philosophy when it comes to creating pace, and that is I want to be able to swing at a speed that allows me to create pace, to create racket head speed, without sacrificing my stroke production. Meaning that if I'm trying to hit the ball harder, I don't want it to get in the way of a nice clean swing and a clean contact. So let's hit some balls here and let me go over some of this stuff. So really, creating pace is all about racket head speed, right? Making sure I can swing fast through the ball and obviously using my body, using the energy of the ground to push myself towards the target and hit the ball a little bit harder. Now if I start swinging too hard at 100% of what I can do, that's not to say I can make a ball, but most of the time I don't know if that ball is going in or out. You know, I'm just gonna be hitting way too hard. Go again. I'm gonna get here, I'm gonna hit way too hard. I can make one, I can maybe make 2 of them, but realistically, that's not a sustainable speed for me to swing. Everything, when we try to swing too hard, we tense up a little bit, the racket head speed isn't as good, and just overall, you're gonna have too many mistakes, the quality of your shots is probably not gonna be great because the swing path might not be as repeatable, as fluid, and then contact point also might suffer because you're swinging way too hard, your head is going everywhere. There's a lot of things that can go wrong when we're trying to swing too hard. Swing fast, not hard. And on the other end of the spectrum, right, if I kind of like swing a bit too slowly, not really committing to the stroke, that also might lead to some pretty crappy balls. If I'm just kind of guiding it, if I'm trying to be maybe a bit too smooth, yes, I'm gonna make a lot of these balls, but I'm kind of pushing it at that point, right? Like obviously I have a good stroke that I can control, that ball is still on my face a little bit, but typically for amateurs, like you guys will start like chopping at the ball, right? A little bit, just a little choppy, not fully committing to that nice low to high motion. And then you have absolutely no feel on the face. If you're swinging a bit too slowly, a bit too choppy, just kind of like tapping the ball into the other side, that's also not, one is not fun, right? It's like, what's the fun in that? And 2, you're just not getting the top spin. The top spin will allow you to hit the ball harder, but with still keeping the ball in, right? That's the whole point of hitting with topspin. If we're hitting the ball with a good amount of speed, but with topspin, that ball is going to go up and down and stay on the court, right? So obviously, that's why, you know, there's emphasis in for a lot of coaches in these days when we're coaching people, it's good racket head speed, right? So we can accelerate, keep that ball in, even though I'm swinging fairly fast hitting the ball pretty hard. So what we want to find is a balance between both those extremes, right? Like either swinging too hard, too fast, or obviously not swinging fast enough, not hitting the ball hard enough. What I tend to tell my players, especially adults that I've taught, that I met through my Tennis HQ, is to find a good swing around 75 to 85% your swing speed. Meaning that if my 100% looks something like this, give me a ball, if my 100% looks something like, I'm like really going at it, right? And see, I made it. That's not to say you can make a ball swing at 100%. You're just probably not gonna make a lot of them in a row. So if that was 100%, I wanna bring it down maybe 20, 25% into maybe a 75% swing speed. See, if the racket is still moving quickly through the ball, go ahead. The racket is still moving quickly through the ball here, and we're pushing the body towards the target. Obviously, acceleration through contact is key. You always need acceleration through contact to have quality balls with speed, with spin, and obviously that stays on court. So why did I say 75 to 85%? I think obviously if we say, oh, bring it down 50%, people are just gonna start pushing the ball. There's not gonna be any racket head speed. We're not gonna see any acceleration. But at 75, 80%, you're getting the racket head speed you need. I say that because, you know, in golf, for example, I want to swing as hard as I can all the time. Just get that ball, smack that ball 300 yards. But I actually hit better balls when I swing at around 80%, get good clean contact, and then those drivers are going 300 yards. So in tennis, it's sort of similar. You don't need to hit super hard, because again, super hard, we're tensing up, and you're not really actually letting the racket work. But at around 75, 80%, and that, whatever your 75% is, we'll talk about this in a second, but at a 75, 80%, I can really feel like I'm swinging through it. There's no controlling too much. I'm actually committed to my strokes. All right, so 80%, always good. And now, something that is very important is I also don't want to see too much variation in speed. Meaning that what I see a lot, especially with amateurs, especially with these juniors, that sometimes drives me crazy, is that they will set up the point perfectly around 80%, right? So they're here 75, 80, they're hitting the ball well at 75, 80, they're moving the ball around, right? And then when they see that opportunity to put the ball away, it looks like that. So they go from a nice 75%, a nice 85% to 285%. Like, why? There shouldn't be that much variation, right? Like, if I'm going to attack, especially seeing that situation where I smacked the ball, I was already inside the court. I didn't need to hit harder because I was already taking the time away by being inside the court. So have those variations, the variation speed not be too great, not too much between like when I'm attacking or when I'm defending too. Don't want it to be like too slow when you're defending. So I want you to keep that in mind when you're playing a point, right? And you're setting up the point at, let's say, 80%, and you're moving the ball around. You're constructing the point, right? I'm sure you guys heard this term. You're trying to get to a position where you can attack. See, I still haven't gotten it there yet. But then here, I did it. I just added 10% right there, put a tiny bit more pace into it, and that was plenty. And just the final thought here, that's not to say we shouldn't strive to hit harder. We shouldn't strive to be able to, hey, we're here, and I want to really go and smack it. Obviously you should. It's great to train that, but you got to remember that you're going to take time to feel comfortable when trying to hit with more pace, right? It's just a natural thing. Like if you're working on racket head speed and keeping the ball in play, hitting the ball a tiny little bit harder, you are going to feel it, right? You're going to feel, it's like, oh, this feels a little bit out of my comfort zone, right? If I was like trying to hit a bit too hard all the time, it's going to feel a little awkward. So the goal is not to get too comfortable hitting at 100% pace like a crazy person, but to increase what your 75 to 85% looks like, right? Like maybe 85% in the beginning looks like this. Maybe this is your 85% right now. You're just 85%, but it's like, okay, maybe I'm gonna play at 90 for a little bit, feel that 90 a little bit. Does it feel awkward? No, okay. Maybe I'll be here. Maybe I'll see if I can get comfortable right here at 90. Oh. So little by little, you're going to increase what that 75 to 85% looks like, and you're obviously going to be hitting much more quality ground strokes.